Hey guys, and welcome along. Today I'm going to be having a look at Rathmichael. I recently done a video in Puck Castle, and Puck Castle is a ghost castle as it was called. But Rathmichael, the surrounding area, is a pretty amazing area when you look into it. It had one of Ireland's biggest ringforts. A lot of the stone was taken and was used in different locations around the area. Puck Castle being one of them. Ballycorris, Chimley Flew, the lead mines, and even Rathmichael Church, the old Rathmichael Church, which dates back and has these ancient slabs. So while the weather's good, it's to get bad. We'll head that way now and have a bit of an explore. So Puck Castle is a bit of a mystery. There's not an awful lot known about it. So it's believed a lot of the stone was taken from the Ringfort nearby, and it's believed that this stone was sacred. So over the years, the castle has been known as being haunted. Its name, Puck Castle, translation Puck is ghost in Irish, or demon. In Scottish, it's actually Puckey, and then people believe eventually that became spooky. So, the way words evolve over time is unusual, but Puga or Puck is ghost in Irish. This kind of tall house or castle was quite common at the time, around the 1500s, which is the estimate of when it was built, and it's rumoured that James II, during the Battle of the Boyne, retreated here before leaving Ireland, never to return. Battle of the Boyne was around 1690, but again, it's rumoured. There's no actual proof. Okay, we'll move on now to the Ringfort. The name Rathmichael is given to the hill fort, but this is believed to be a corruption of an English translation. The name would have been Rathmichael. Mactail means Ringfort, Rath is hill, so it got lost in translation as Rathmichael. The remains of the fort sits in basically what's a woodland, or basically a park at this stage. It dates back to the Bronze Age or before, and it's approximately 120 to 140 metres. The circumference is marked with stone of what's left of it, and it's believed it was a hugely important place at the time, even due to some of the fine artifacts that were found there. They're not gold or bronze or anything like that. There's not gold found at these sites, but decorated spearheads or artifacts of importance in that way. And it's believed like it would have been for social gatherings and be a prayer, worship, or whatever it was at the time. Unfortunately, there's not much left of the old Ringfort or Neolithic the temple, but a lot of people come to have a walk around and camp here. A good lot of the stone would have been used in the last 1,000 years. Like, it's anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 years old, this particular fort, and Puck Castle is probably about 600 years old. A lot of stone was taken for that, and then for the lead mines just up on top of the hill up there, a lot more of the stone was taken for that. So that was in the last about 300 years, and this for people coming up out to see, here's handy stone for us. They don't actually think about, like, they weren't worried about the ancient history, or for everyone else up to this point, even still now, they've always been the ones that came before. So here it is there, an ancient site, obviously hugely important at one stage, but not so much anymore. Well, to some people anyway. Moving on up the hill now to Ballycorris, Chimley Flew, and again it's believed that the mines up here, the stone came from the Rathmichael fort. So in 1807 a mine was constructed here, and they were mining for lead, but they processed it as well, and even when they ran out of lead here, it started coming from Glendalough. There's a good few mines actually around Glendalough, and it was all brought and processed here, and they looked for lead and silver as well, funny enough. But again, the area became known as Death Valley because so many people were getting poisoned. Like, a lot of the work was done by hand. There was no breathing apparatus or anything like that. Health and safety was non-existent, and an awful lot of people died from lead poisoning. Most of the lead was used in Dublin, which was a growing city at the time, and there was other mining facilities around Ireland. The joint investigation in 2009 by the Environment Protection Agency and the Geological Survey of Ireland into potential risks posed by the historic mine sites in Ireland classed Ballycorris as a Class 5 site, which requires ongoing monitoring for wastes in the area from the mining. Like, that's well over 100 years ago, and still there's risk of poisoning to this day. I have to admit, the more I look, the more I seem to discover in the Dublin hills or mountains and the Wicklow Mountains an amazing amount of Neolithic burial tombs, passage tombs, all sorts that, to be honest, I didn't know about. A good few of them seem to have been lost over time. There's only remnants of them left. But I think I might have an awful lot of exploring to do. There seems to be, the more I look, the more I seem to pop up. But this area here, Rathmichael, seems pretty amazing just on its own. But Castle's pretty cool, and like many of the stories, like, you'll always hear about the fairy mounds or Neolithic tombs, as they were called, that old Irish superstitions that if they were tampered with, misfortune would happen. Now, I'm not really a superstitious person, but I wouldn't be clowning around with them, to be honest. Maybe it does mean I'm superstitious, but the Hellfire Club has a bad old reputation, still has. You might just think it's just a story of what happened there like years ago with the club. That's even disputed, but even up to recent times, there's people have been stabbed up there and other weird going ons. Put Castle down the road here in the 1830s or something like that. Some poor little girl was out picking flowers and went missing. Never seen again. The body was never found. And it's remote now. Imagine how remote it was then. So, I don't know, there seems to be a bit of a history to when you mess around with these things. There's misfortune in the areas. So, anyway, there'll be absolutely nothing to it. The people that plundered the stone didn't think so, but these were once upon a time sacred areas of some description. My personal belief, they were like temples to deal with the stars. They were aligned to the stars, possibly, for chasing the experience of solar eclipse, for farming. Without a doubt, they were known as farmers. And then over the thousands of years, like, I'm sure they've been lost, rediscovered, and the people used their own interpretations of what they were, and hence began burials in them, and they became known as tombs. Or as someone said to me once, why couldn't they be both? Maybe they were. So, anyway, I'm no expert, but anyway, that's my 2 minutes more done. So, as you come back down the hill towards Rathmichael Fort, it's a bit of a travel around the road. You can go back around by Puckcastle, whichever way you want, but there's a long laneway, and at the end of it there's a gate you go through and you come to Rathmichael Church, and I found this place fascinating. There's the remains of an old round tower. It used to be called the Skull Tower because it's only a base, and there was bones and skulls from other graves apparently thrown into it. There's these old ancient stones with markings on them. They reckon there was a couple of churches here at one stage. In actual fact, that this could have been a round tower or fort originally, and again, stone was taken from up above and brought down, and some of the stone that was there would have been used too. The old medieval church here in Rathmichael is truly amazing, and it's probably the third church that stood here on these grounds. It's a medieval ruins at this stage, but there's dated ones that were here beforehand. And what's amazing about here is these slabs that have all markings on them, and depending on the time of day you're here, different symbols show up. And if you come over this way, there's all these more, and this is the base of a round tower that was once here. Makes for a fascinating visit. But it's an amazing church, and you can hear some farm animals in the distance. And I'm sure was the case for many a year, like many places in Dublin, it would have been this bird song or animals. But now while I'm here, I can hear children playing football, not in the far distance, where the housing estate is only over across from it now. As most places like these are kind of hard to find now, because there's housing estates either beside them or around them, or they're just gone. They were ploughed over. So, another fascinating place. Well worth a visit. It's nice seeing it now and recording it now before the Frenchy, because I can see rooftops just over here. So it's only a matter of time this will be engulfed, like the one out in Dalkey there. There's houses all around. Anyway, so if you get a chance, come see. Well guys, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. A special thanks to anyone that's watched all the way to the end. It's a long old video. Thanks again, bye.